Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ensuring that all Canadians have safe communities in which to live has been a priority for our government since taking office. Our government has undertaken numerous initiatives to ensure the safety of Canadians. For example, our government is following through on its commitment to give the RCMP the tools it needs to enhance public confidence and increase accountability to its members and to Canadians. This is apparent through our support for Bill C-51, the Enhancing RCMP Accountability Act. This legislation will enable the RCMP to continue its ongoing transformation toward a strong and vibrant national police force that Canadians will continue to believe in and value. The Enhancing RCMP Accountability Act will help the RCMP remain accountable and relevant now and in the future. First, this act creates a modern, independent Civilian Review and Complaints Commission for the RCMP, which will strengthen civilian oversight. Second, investigations of serious incidents such as death or serious injury involving RCMP members will be more transparent and accountable to the public through the implementation of a new framework. Third, the Act modernizes processes with respect to discipline, grievance, and human resources management for RCMP members because it will put in place mechanisms to prevent, address, and correct performance and conduct issues fairly and in a timely manner. These changes will help address concerns that have been raised by both the Canadian public and the RCMP members themselves. Bill C-51, the Safer Witnesses Act, is another important legislative change which will support the work of our police and ensure that we meet our commitments to Canadians. Witness protection programs offer protection, sometimes including new identities for certain individuals whose testimony or cooperation is vital to the success of law enforcement operations. In Canada, the RCMP administers the Federal Witness Protection Program, which was officially established in 1996 with the passage of the Witness Protection Program Act. Through the Federal Witness Protection Program, the RCMP can provide emergency protection in the form of permanent relocation and secure identity changes to witnesses under threat. The legislation governing the Federal Witness Protection Program, however, has not been substantially changed since 1996 when it first came into force. This has posed challenges to the RCMP, who must contend with constantly changing nature of organized crime. The Safer Witnesses Act will help strengthen the current Federal Witness Protection Program and thus support the RCMP in effectively combating crime, particularly organized crime. Bill C-51 will also help protect individuals, including RCMP members and other law enforcement officers and civilians involved in administering and delivering witness protection. Disclosing information about individuals in the Federal Witness Protection Program is prohibited by the Witness Protection Program Act. Bill C-51 expands on this by also prohibiting the disclosure of information about individuals who provide or assist in providing protection for witnesses, as well as how the program operates. Under Bill C-51, this prohibition will extend to both the federal as well as designated provincial programs. Bill C-51 will also positively impact the provision of protection by promoting greater integration between federal and provincial witness protection programs. Under the current legislation, if an individual in a provincial witness protection program requires secure identity change, he or she must be temporarily transferred into a federal witness protection program so that the RCMP could obtain the appropriate documents. This may introduce delays in the process. The changes proposed by Bill C-51 will allow provincial and territorial governments to request that their programs be designated under the Federal Witness Protection Program Act. This one-time designation will mean that the witness in the Witness Protection Program can receive a secure identity change without needing to be admitted into the federal one. These reforms support the provision of protection at all levels by streamlining the process to obtain secure federal documents for these purposes. Another change proposed by Bill C-51 responds in part to a recommendation made in the final report of the Air India inquiry. The legislation proposes to expand the categories of witnesses who may be admitted to the Witness Protection Program to include persons who assist federal departments, agencies, or services that have a national security, national defense, or public safety mandate, and who may require protection As a result, more organizations will also be able to refer candidates. Examples of such organizations are the Canadian Security Intelligence Service and the Department of National Defence. Currently, referrals are only accepted from law enforcement in international courts or tribunals. Mr. Speaker, the RCMP has administered the Witness Protection Program for the last 15 years, during which time it has gained significant experience and insight into factors that make for a successful witness protection program. Bill C-51 will build on this experience and address a number of operational issues that the RCMP has experienced. For example, C-51 clarifies the process for voluntary termination from the federal program. It also extends the amount of time emergency protection may be provided to candidates being considered for admission into federal program. Emergency protection is being increased from the current 90 days to a maximum of 180 days. In addition to these changes proposed by Bill C-51, the RCMP is currently taking measures to enhance the federal witness program, including incorporating psychological assessments of candidates and counseling for protectees and their families, incorporating risk management principles into the admission process, enhancing training for witness handlers and administrators, creating a database that would better inform program design, and lastly, offering the services of legal counsel to all candidates being considered for admission into the federal program. The RCMP will also continue to use the existing 7 criteria outlined in the Act to assess whether to admit an individual into the program, including the risk of the witness, the danger to the community if the person were to be admitted into the program, the nature of the inquiry and the importance of the witness in the matter, the value of the information and evidence to be given by a witness, the likelihood that the witness can adjust to the program, the cost of maintaining a witness in the program, alternate methods of protection, and other factors deemed by the Commissioner to be relevant. Our government has been quite clear that one of our top priorities is to keep our streets and communities safe and to support families, as outlined by the Prime Minister. Our plan involves tackling crime, supporting victims' rights, and promoting a fair and efficient justice system. Today, our government builds on the success of the last 7 years in providing the RCMP with the tools they need to do their jobs more effectively. This and other legislation will ensure that we have fully accountable national police force that will continue to fulfill its role to protect Canadians here at home and abroad. For that reason, I urge all members to support this legislation and work towards ensuring it is passed in an expeditious manner. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments. Questions and commentary. The Honourable Member for Westmount Ville-Marie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This doesn't happen very often, but we're talking about a bill here that all of the parties are in agreement to. We didn't make any changes in committee, and instead we're spending 5 hours tonight discussing something that we're all in agreement with. In fact, I'm having a bout of déjà vu because I think I heard exactly this speech earlier today from the member from Crowfoot. It seemed almost identical to the one that the member from Crowfoot gave. Now, that 5 hours tonight that costs $50,000 an hour in overtime could help us in one day today to hire 80 summer students. Let's use the money intelligently, Mr. Speaker, and debate the real issues and move on to Bill C-56, which is next on the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Barrie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And if the member is not interested in the debates of Parliament, he can certainly leave. I know it's typical for the Liberal caucus not to show up to debates or votes, and if he wants to continue that practice, he is welcome to leave. But I think we should encourage discussion on weighty matters like this, encourage debate, and certainly that's one of the real values of our Parliament. And to say that it's not important or relevant to have a thorough discussion on public safety and supporting the needs of the RCMP, I think is inappropriate. And it goes to show that the Liberal Party has been consistent in not supporting the justice agenda to make sure that Canadians are safe. This pattern of showing no interest in law and order is one of the reasons that they continue to be defeated at the polls by Canadians.
Questions and commentary.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg, Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, thank you. I'd like to ask the member a question. that deals with funding. Last year, we funded 30 people into the witness protection program out of 108, so the rest were not accepted, and that saved $9 million. And so it's expensive, we'll admit that. But my question is the following. We're broadening the criteria, and we want to do that because we really have to support these people. We support the bill. But how is this process going to unfold? The 89 people who asked for protection who weren't chosen, how is this done? How is one person chosen and not the next? Is it an issue of the impact that they'll have in a case? Are people going to be treated fairly when we have witnesses? Is it going to be focused on terrorism or some kind of accident? What is it all based on?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the question. Obviously, it'll be left to the experts to decide, based on the 7 criteria, how many of the potential witnesses would be put into this program. I would note that Tom Stamatakis, the president of the Canadian Police Association, when it came to cost, said that it is obviously important, but his direct cost was this will deliver the best possible community protection at a reasonable cost for Canadian taxpayers. I think that's why we've seen the RCMP and the Canadian Police Association express the importance of this legislation, because it is reasonable, the costs are manageable, but fundamentally what is important is about the safety of Canadians, and this enhances that.
There's enough time for a very brief question or comment. The honourable member for Dufferin-Caledon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to congratulate the member from Barrie who was on a team tonight that went out and played hockey against the media and beat the media 6-4. And now he's come back to this place at 11 o'clock to give an outstanding speech on this bill. Well, yeah, maybe that's my question. How many goals did he score? No, Mr. Speaker, Bill Blair, the chief of police of the chief of the Toronto Police Service, stated, in Toronto, we have seen the fear caused by the intimidation of the threat of retaliation and gang investigations. Witnesses with valuable information are deterred from coming forward. We support the government's initiative as a valuable step in protecting public safety. I wonder if the member from Barrie can elaborate on that statement.
The honourable member for Barrie.
Well, thank you for the question, and yes, this bill certainly does a lot to enhance safety in our communities. And I would note on your first question, the teamwork in the Conservative caucus and the great work from the member from Brampton West in back-checking helped to ensure that we held the day against the media, and we were very pleased to work together on a hockey rink, just like we do in Parliament, to ensure the best interests of Canadians are accounted for.